Anyway, the way that is going to work, now I use a bolster at home. And a bolster is, a round pillow, really firm. It almost looks like a rolled up mat, but you can use a couple of blocks and just put a towel or something over the front of it, over the top. And then what you'll want to do is get it located directly, well, somewhere underneath your knees. It could be underneath your thighs or underneath the upper parts of your calves, but you want your leg to bend somewhat. Now, some of you may be able to just tent your feet apart and your knees will come together. Well, I can do this for about 30 seconds and then my legs start aching. But the only way that your psoas actually releases is in a position very close to this. Your body will be a little bit different than mine. But what I do every night, I go to sleep that way. I have a bolster that I just slide into bed with. Sometimes I'll just throw my legs over Priscilla, but most of the time, just on top of that bolster, and I fall asleep in, well, for me, it's ridiculously easy to fall asleep. But anyway, it releases that tension and you can then relax and fall asleep. So we're going to end up in that position. And we're also going to be targeting your hip flexors. Hip flexors, glutes, and quads. And we have a nice class today. So we're going to start by standing. Oh, and does anyone not have blocks?
I need to.
Okay.
I
How many?
Two.
Okay. Two each?
No.
Okay.
I was sharing mine.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Have one more. That one will cost you double since you delayed. Okay, so come to the top of your mat or someplace comfortable. Get your feet hip width apart. My name is Clint, and this is Yin Yoga with Balance. Thank you for coming. Today, okay, so we have our feet hip width apart. Hip width is your two fists can go in between your arches. Stand up tall. Isometrically drag your feet toward one another. You can feel all the muscles in your legs. Take your upper inner thighs and roll them towards the back. You'll feel an opening at the base of your spine, so just tuck your tailbone under to fill that space that you created. That tilts your pelvis back and gives that nice little arch for your lumbar spine. From here, take the crown of your head, which is the back part, lift that up towards the ceiling and your chin will tuck. Chin will tuck in just a little bit. Gaze off at the horizon. Inhale your shoulders up towards your ears. Rotate them towards the back. Shoulder blades kiss, and then just drift down your back. And just, you don't have to continue to push your chest up. In fact, maybe just take your finger and just touch your solar plexus so that you are relaxed. And from here, just maintain your position, but just relax every muscle. And you can stand this way for an extended period of time because your body is in almost perfect balance, almost perfectly vertical. And then bring the weight into your left foot. Come up onto your right toes. And just lift that knee up. Now don't focus on me or anybody else that's moving. Balance is hard enough when you're by yourself. But this is the way I am when I'm drying off after a shower. Throw my towel over my legs, stick it out, then dry off. Too much information, sorry. And then step that down. But I try to find a way to balance a number of times a day. Back to Tadasana. Always get your starting point, a good base. Weight into your right foot. You yawn one more time. Inhale, lift your left knee up. At exactly 4 o'clock, I finished my run through of this class. I was sound asleep on my mat. So you guys have a nice class coming up, except for the balance. And then lower that back down. Step that up. Okay. I'm going to stay like that. I guess it really doesn't matter. Turn sideways on your mat. Bring your feet out wide. If you do a lot of hatha, this is prasarita. So your toes face the side. Your legs don't have to be super wide apart. From here, bend your knees. And then bring your tailbone down, like you're squatting. Pretty easy. Okay, so from here, raise back up. Widen your feet just a little bit, but keep your feet facing the side of your mat. And then with your hands on your hips, begin to bend your left knee. Come over to the side, keep your chest vertical. Pretend you have a wall right behind your back. And then push up, and go to the other side. Feel the muscles that are in use here. And lift back up. The other side. Maybe you can come down a little bit lower. Up. Right side. And then back up. Step your feet together. About hip width apart again. I'm going to do in hatha, it's called Utkatasana, chair pose. So from here, on an inhale, keep your spine straight and bend your knees and drop your seat. Hands are down. And then inhale, raise your arms up towards the ceiling. Tuck your tailbone under. You can feel your spine lengthen here. Then reach those fingers farther forward and up. Breathe in and out through your nose. These are your quads. You're really strengthening. These are your public toilet muscles. Then on your next inhale, rise all the way back up. Your arms come down. Okay, step to the back of your mat. We'll do a couple of lunges. So on your next inhale, take a giant step forward with your right foot. Your toes are facing the front of your mat. Now your feet can be wide apart. That'll give you a little more stability, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is to maintain your balance, but keep that balance integrity. And then begin to bend that front knee a little bit more. Keep that spine straight. Don't want to be leaning forward. And then, hands on your hips, turn to the right. Back to center. And then twist to the left. Push that left heel away. Back to center. Straighten that front leg. And step out. Back to Tadasana. Take a giant step forward with your left one. You may have a favorite leg here. One leg is going to be stronger than the other. And then begin to lower your hips. Bring your hands up to your hips. Push that heel away. Continue to breathe in and out through your nose. Inhale. On your exhale, twist to the left. This might be easier on one side than the other. Inhale back up. Exhale to the right. Back to center. Look forward at that front foot and step forward. I have 20 more minutes of the balance, but I think we're done with that. Okay, grab your blocks. Now, the first yin pose that we're going to do is a yoga squat. And even if you can go in a yoga squat and stay there for 5 minutes, just resting in air, I don't want you to. The way the yin works, you need for your muscles to soften in order to get the benefit. So, you have 2 blocks, you can bring them high, you can bring them wide, doesn't matter. For me, 6 inches is just about right. So bring your feet out wide, and then you may try this a couple of times. And you don't have to start from standing. You can just get down on your hands and knees and sit on the blocks. And then on the next exhale, lower down and have faith that you're going to hit your blocks. Every once in a while, I go backwards. But that's okay. From here, your feet should be flat on the mat. See what the tension in your groins are. This is a groin opener. It's a quad stretch. It's an ankle stretch. So from here, lift the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. Now lift your shoulders up a little bit. Roll them back. Feel your shoulder blades and then lower your shoulder blades. That should relax the muscles in your spine. Allow your eyes to close. Take another deep cleansing breath into your nose. Exhale it out through your nose. Another deep cleansing breath into your nose. Out through your nose. And let your breath come to its own natural rhythm, in and out through your nose. Breathe into wherever you feel the sensations are greatest. Those are the areas that are being stressed the most. Those are the areas that you want to target. In Yin, you want to stretch into a pose and then still be able to relax those muscles that are being stretched. That will then allow the tension. Once those muscles soften, the tension from your body position transfers into your fascia, coverings of your muscles. That stimulates the stem cells that you have in your body, going around repairing and building new cells, those cells that are in need. That stimulation will gather those stem cells, and over time, your fascia will expand, lengthen, give your muscles more room, more space in which to operate, so that they don't confine your movement. Begin to deepen your breath. Open your eyes. What I'm going to recommend, since everybody's on a couple of blocks, walk your feet forward. Your hands can come down to the mat to make sure that you don't fall off. Push your heels away. And then point your toes, and then push your heels away. Pointing and flexing your feet. That will get the fluid moving in your feet, in your ankles, which have just been really stimulated. And if you put your hands on your quads, you can feel that they tense up and then they relax. And the next pose that we're going to do, we're going to start in a seated position. I'm sorry, in table. So maybe you can just bend one knee, bring the foot underneath, and then bring the other knee down and just lean forward. And come to your knees. Maybe not. But anyway, you're now here in table. So do a few cat cows. Every inhale, your belly drops, your chest comes forward, your siphons lift and separate. And then exhale, round your spine, tuck your chin, tuck your tailbone. And the next time you come to center pause, from here, lift your right foot up and back, Stepping that footprint on the back wall, push that heel away, stretching your hamstring. And then on an exhale, bring that right foot up next to your right pinky finger. Come into my favorite pose, dragon. Now, for dragon, I've kind of poo-pooed blocks off and on for a long time, but maybe blocks are the smart way to do it. We're going to do baby dragon or high flying dragon. So for baby dragon, you'd come up and your hands would be on your knees and you push that right knee forward. And the object here is to drop your hips towards the mat. They probably won't get there, so don't feel bad if you don't. But you can always just use a couple of blocks to take the weight, or you can bring all of your weight down right into your hips. What you want to be able to do is soften your hips. So at some point you may just run out of strength and just transfer into your blocks. Because when any muscles in your body start to scream at you, the other muscles are going to pay attention. And they're going to try to help. And that means that they'll engage. And your objective is to get them to soften. You may have detected your hips coming down a little bit. If you've overstepped your knee over the front of your foot, you can feel this in your calf. You're getting a nice stretch in your gastrocnemius muscles, those big muscles at the back of your calf. You can also feel this in your hip flexors, those muscles I talked about before the class started, both your psoas and your iliacus. If you're doing well here, good for you. I'm not. So you can stay here if you wish. You can come into low flying dragon. You can walk that right foot off to the right if you wish. You can come down onto your elbows onto the mat, or you can use blocks to raise the floor. But try to get both elbows at the same elevation. And then lengthen your spine. It's pretty easy to just give up and just curl your spine here. That's not the right thing to do for this pose. For this pose, you want to lengthen your spine. You can always let that right knee drift out. But breathe into wherever those sensations are greatest. Your gaze should be down towards your mat. You don't want to be looking at the far wall. And although you try to achieve stillness to help your body soften, sometimes you have to back up because your muscles simply won't cooperate. So back up. Modify this as you need. Begin to deepen your breath. In your next inhale, bring your palms to the mat. Straighten your arms. Lift your chest. Walk your hands back until you can release that right foot back to meet the left. You can stay here in table and do some cat-cows. You can make some really big circles with your hips. If that works for you, do both directions. Or you can curl your toes under, lifting your hips up and back into downward facing dog. And then carefully lower your knees back down. Come on to your favorite hip. Swing your feet around to the front of the mat. Come down all the way onto your back. We're going to do a reclining swan. Now this swan is the way to do, if you have the knee issue, this is probably the way you want to do it anyway. Make sure you have a block handy. But before you do that, walk your footprints up towards your sit bones. Your hands are on the mat next to your hips. On an inhale, tuck your tailbone under, putting the small of your back into contact with the mat. And inhale, lift your hips up towards the ceiling into bridge. Take a couple of breaths here. Feel your quads working, feel your glutes working. And then lower back down. This time, using your block the flat way, with the long dimension going from your left side to your right. On your inhale, lift up, place the block underneath your sacrum, and lower back down. Roll your hips left to right to make sure that you're stable. And then raise your right foot up onto the ceiling. Push the heel away, then bend that right knee, and bring your right ankle over the top of your left thigh. From here, lift that left knee up, take your right hand between your legs, and grab behind your left thigh, or maybe in front of your left shin bone. Now, if your arms are short, you may want to use a strap. That's fine. And from here, you can increase the pressure and the tension on your glutes merely by drawing that knee closer into your chest. That left knee. The right knee just comes along with it. Now, the target of this pose are your right glutes, those really handsome muscles on your backside, and your hip side. Now, you can modify this pose in numerous ways. One is move your knee a little bit off to the right, so that maybe your knee is at the center line of your body. Then maybe move your right foot to the knee at that location. And draw that knee in. And you can feel the sensations moving towards the outside of your hip. Might be closer to your sacrum, but for me, it's towards the outside. So you can dial in whichever part of your glute is tightest. And if you want to go the other way, just roll your knee a little bit to the left, and then take your right knee over closer to your left knee. And if you use your right hand, you You can just feel your glute and see what it feels like on the outside, because you surely know what it feels like with your eyes closed. But find the right pressure for you so that the muscles are tightened and yet you can relax. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next exhale, release your bind. Let that left foot come down onto the mat next to your hips. And release that right foot up towards the ceiling. And then return it to earth next to your left foot. On an inhale of your choice, lift your hips up and move the thigh. Carefully lower down. Draw your knees into your chest and give yourself a squeeze. Make some big circles on the ceiling with your knees. Humor me for a minute. What I mean by big circles, put your hands and grab hold of your knees so your hands are right over the top of your kneecaps. And then push your knees away so that your arms are straight. Now, if you push your knees farther away, your shoulders come up. And roll to your right and then back down. So you can feel this all over your back. This is just an option. The next time you come to center, pause with your knees where they are. We're going to do a spinal twist with cat pulling its tail. So the way you want to start is to cross your left ankle over the top of your right. Grab your right foot with your left hand. There are a lot of rights and lefts here. Take your right hand out to the side and lean over to the right. And spinal twist. Now, begin to draw that left arm back and take that right foot with it. So you're getting a nice stretch on your right quad as you try to bring that left shoulder back towards the mat. Your left knee can stay where it is. You can always put your right hand on that knee, try to hold it in place. This is just a way to intensify the stretch. Getting a nice quad stretch. Rotate your left shoulder up towards your ear and then towards the back. And lower your shoulder blade. And maybe you can feel that stretch a little bit more. You're stretching your rectus abdominis, your abs, and your obliques on both the front and back sides. Begin to deepen your breath. And your next exhale, release your body. Inhale, bring your knees back to center. Push your feet towards the front of your mat. Take your arms up towards the ceiling. And then take a mat beyond your head and stretch from your heels away from your palms. Your toes away from your fingers. And then bring your arms back down by your sides. Walk your feet back up towards your sit bones. Give yourself a squeeze. Rock left to right or make circles. In the next pose we're going to do, starting seated. So maybe the easiest way would be just to cross your ankles and rock forwards and backward. Or you can come off to your side. Use the hand to push the foot away. This pose is caterpillar. So in Hatha, it's Dandasana, where you're just simple pose. So I'm going to use a block like I always do. Put my sit bones on the very front edge, so it feels like I'm about to fall off. Hips or feet are about hip width apart. You can put a block or two underneath your knees if you have tight hamstrings. That's okay. Inhale your spine tall. This pose targets your spine and your hamstrings. So inhale, spine tall, and walk your hands alongside your legs, drawing your collarbones towards the front of the mat until your body asks you to pause. From here, allow your head to bow forward, round your spine. Begin to soften. Now you may have difficulties here, that's okay. Breathe into where the sensations are greatest. Because this targets both your hamstrings, which are the back sides of your thighs, and your spine, you can choose which you'd rather address more directly. If your spine needs a stretch more than your hamstrings, concentrate on your spine. Let your knees bend a little bit more. Listen carefully. On your next inhale, come up just a little bit. Push your collarbones farther forward. Wound the person behind you. And then just pull forward again. And just release. You may find that by turning your hands to face up towards the ceiling, that will reduce the tension in your back. because your clavicles, I'm not clavicle, but your scapulas, your shoulder blades aren't doing any work. So that allows the rest of your shoulder girdle to soften. And adjacent muscles will take their cue from that. You can bend your elbows. If you're pulling on your legs, that would be a hatha class, not a yin class. You can do that on Friday mornings via Zoom with me. Let your shoulder blades just slip down your back. Begin to deepen your breath. In your next inhale, begin to walk your hands back towards your hips. Rising up to a seated position. If you're on a block, carefully remove it. Bring your hands behind your hips and bring your footprints onto the mat. Before you start the windshield wiper, feel your hips and what they're doing right now, how they feel. And as you come to one side, notice the difference from side to side. Done a lot of work on that right side. Haven't done anything on the left. You may find a big difference or a little difference. The next time you come to center pause, the next pose is going to be an inversion. So if you have eye issues or blood pressure issues, it would be better if you didn't do that. But if you can, push your feet away, stretching your hamstrings, come down onto your elbows, all the way down onto your back. And find your block again. Walk your footprints up towards your sit bones. With your blocking hand, on an inhale, lift your hips up. Tuck the block in the flat way underneath your sacrum and lower back down. Then on an inhale, lift one leg up and place your footprint on the ceiling. And then join it with the other. You want your feet to be directly above your hips. You don't want your feet up close to your face, because then your muscles are going to be working hard to keep your legs vertical. You don't want your feet close to the front of your mat, because your legs are going to work hard there too. So try to get your legs vertical. Hold on to your legs if you wish. Let your strap. Use the strap. What this does allows the blood and other fluids in your body to return into your chest. You may be able to detect a difference in temperature already. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next exhale, bend one knee and bring that foot down to the mat. Bend the other knee. Lift and remove the block. Draw your knees into your chest and give yourself a squeeze. Rock from right to left. In the next pose, we're going to be on our bellies. So the easiest way to get there is to roll over onto your right side. Use your left hand to come up halfway. And then just swing your feet around behind. Come down onto your belly, facing the front. Then come up onto your elbows. We're coming into Sphinx pose. So Sphinx, your elbows are directly below your shoulders. Your forearms are facing forward. Your palms are flat on the mat. The way I was taught, your toes had to be together. The tops of your toes are on the mat, but your feet are together. Your knees are together. Your thighs are together. They don't have to be. If you have issues that mean that your feet want to be 6 inches or 8 inches or 12 inches apart, that's fine. But from here, lift your chest high and look down between your hands. This is a back bend. And it starts as a yan pose, meaning a muscular pose that will utilize your muscles in your back. And by pushing your toes down, that will lift your knees up so that you'll be suspended from your hands to your elbows, to your pubic bone, to your toenails. Breathe in and out through your nose. Feel those muscles that are being engaged. And then begin to relax them by softening your knees and feel your thighs and your quads, the lower belly softening in sequence. Going down towards your toes. Maybe you can feel the movement in your spine. You close your eyes and turn inside. And feel this stretch of your spine, the stretch of your abs. And then allow your head just to bow forward. Maybe softly move your head from left to right. Maybe make some tiny circles with your nose on the mat. Maybe you can identify the exact vertebra that has the most tension. And then on your next exhale, fold your arms. Use your forearms as a pillow. Bring your right knee up towards your right elbow in half frog. Your gaze can be off to the left or off to the right, does not matter. Like all counter poses, this pose is designed to help your body resume normalcy. This is a little tiny twist of your spine. And then on your next inhale, bring that right leg back to meet the left. Come back up. We have some options here. You may want to spread your legs out to the edges of your mat this time. This may change the way that you feel this pose. Again, lift your chest high. Push your toenails down, lifting up your knees. Gaze between your hands on your mat. Isometrically draw your elbows towards your hips. It will lengthen your spine. Feel all those muscles that are working. And then relax. You can feel the wave of softness just rippling through your body as your muscles listen to their neighbors and relax in sequence. And then let your head bow again. Move your head a little bit one way and then the other, just to make sure that you're not holding any residual tension in your cervical spine. And then on your next exhale, release, fold your forearms again, rest your head, bring your left knee up towards your left elbow. And feel your body soften and come back to normal. See how your body recovers without your intervention. Just imagine how difficult it would be if you had to direct all of the work of repairing your body or just bringing your body back to normal. Yet it's all done for you without your conscious intervention. On your next inhale, take the left foot back to meet the right. Bring your hands next to your chest. Push the floor away, rise up through table and into a short child's pose. So your knees are wide, your big toes are together, your hips come down on top of your heels, and your head comes down onto the mat. Soften your elbows. Breathe into your kidneys. And then breathe into your spine a little bit higher with every breath. On your next inhale, rise up into table. Do a few cat-cows here on your own. The next time you come to center, pause. From here, lift your left foot up and back. Step out and onto the back wall. Aren't you glad I'm not training your grandson to do this at your house? And then on an exhale, take your left foot up next to your left pinky finger. Come into wonderful dragon. Have your blocks handy if you want. You can move that right knee back an inch or two or more, whatever works for you. This is baby dragon, so you can come up onto your knee if you wish, or you can leave your hands on the blocks. Try to keep your hips square. If you find that your right hip is back, just draw it forward. Actually feels really good on that front hip. That's where your psoas is getting the biggest workout. It's being extended. The psoas is interesting because when your hip is flexed, like it is on the left, your psoas is being, its intention is being stretched over the face of your pelvis. And on the right side, when it's being extended, it's being stretched. That's why the psoas release is so key, because that muscle never releases on its own. You can stay here if you wish, or if you'd like to change the pose to get into a different part of your muscles, you can always come into low flying dragon. Raise the floor up using blocks, or just rest your elbows on the mat. Lengthen your spine. And as you do that, you actually extend the stretch of your psoas on the right side. Unless you do an awful lot of walking or running, your psoas doesn't get this much attention. If you'd like a little bit more intensity, you can always draw your elbows towards your knee that's down. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your palms back down to the mat. Straighten your arms. Walk your hands back towards your right knee until you can release that left. At the table, do some cat cows. Make circles with your hips or come up into downward facing dog. And remember, on these counter poses, you don't have to wait for the cues to have permission. Your body knows what it needs. And then when you're ready, gently lower your knees back down to the mat. Come on to your least favorite hip. Swing your feet around to the front of the mat. And we're back to Reclining Swan. So, stretch your heels away. And then come all the way down. Walk your feet up towards your sit bones. Hands next to your hips. On an inhale, tuck your tailbone under. Lift your hips up towards the ceiling. And feel that stretch across the front of your pelvis. Exhale, lower back down. This time, find your block, the flat direction. Inhale, lift your hips up. Insert the block underneath your sacrum. And lower back down. On an inhale, bring your footprint up onto the ceiling. Push that heel away. Feel that hamstring. Those 4 hamstrings stretching. And then bend your left knee. Bring your ankle over your right thigh like a gentleman sitting. And on an inhale, lift that right knee. Left hand goes between your legs. And make a bind behind your right thigh or right shins. And this is where maybe is the best time to just try out all these different options. You can move your foot way over onto the edge of your thigh so that the left knee is way out, and then draw that right knee in and feel where the sensations are. It's probably further on the outside part of your glute. That would be your gluteus medius. Or you could bring that left knee close to your right knee and draw that in. And you can feel that in close to your sacrum. That'll be your gluteus maximus. Either place is good. Or right in the middle. Again, the targets of this pose are the glutes and your hip socket. So as long as you feel it there, and then work to soften those muscles, you'll get the full benefit of this very expensive class. There are times where you just don't want to have as much sensation. That's great. That's just telling you that you know your body. That is success. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next exhale, release your mind. Slowly lower your right foot down to the mat. Bring your left foot up towards the ceiling, step on the ceiling, and then bring the left foot down to meet the right. Remove the block to the mat. Give yourself a squeeze. And rock from left to right. And make those really big circles. Don't forget to go in the opposite direction. Those are different muscles. And the next time you come to center, the knees are into your chest. This time, bring your right foot on top of the left, or your right ankle over the, right ankle over the left. Then grab your left foot with your right hand. And on an exhale, come over onto your left side. Your left arm up towards the sidewall. And then begin to lower your right shoulder back towards the mat. Line your right foot with it. If you can get your shoulder blade to release down towards your hip. That will make this a little easier. Maybe the weight of your left hand on your right knee. Look out this. And feel the stretch across your core. Your abs are really stretched. Your obliques, your pecs, your serratus. Because of the cat pulling its tail, you're getting your quads and your ankles. But find softness here and just sinking. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, release your mind. Bring your knees back to center. Try the knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. And rock from left to right. You have an option here. You can go into the Psoas Release, which will entail coming up to get two blocks together. Or you can just choose your own Shavasana. For the two blocks Shavasana, or the Psoas Release, two blocks together. A towel or warm up over the top. And these can be 9 inches high too. That's actually a little closer to what my bolster is. And then it's a little trial and error. Turn the other direction. Sometimes it doesn't work. Bring your hands out by your sides, palms up. Take a deep cleansing breath into your nose. Exhale out through your nose. Take another cleansing breath into your nose. Out through your nose. And take rest. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your space. Bring movement to your fingers and to your toes, to your wrists, and to your ankles. Gently roll your head from left to right. And when you're ready, bend your knees, walk your feet up towards your sit bones. Give yourself a squeeze. Rock from left to right and make circles with your knees. And the next time you're over on your right side, pause there for just a moment in fetal pose. Scan of your body to detect any residual tension or stress that may still be hiding in your body, in your tissues. And then using the strength in your left hand, push the floor away, rise up to a seated position. Thank you for sharing your yoga practice with me this evening. Thank you for taking good care of your body, and your mind, and your breath through the practice of yoga. Take the compassion and empathy that you practice every time you step onto your mat with you everywhere you go, and share it with your family, your friends, and each person you might meet. Namaste. My name is Frank, and this is Yin Yoga. Thank you for coming.